Greetings and welcome, everybody. We are about to talk about The Suicide Squad. That's the new film from James Gunn and DC. With us today is the boss man, Andre. How you doing?
Greetings, everyone. But of course, I am not the guest of honor today. We have someone else for that.
Also joining us is one of my partners in crime from me, Jesse. How you doing, Jesse?
Oh, pretty good.
Glad to have you.
I really wanted to talk about this movie because, I watched it with my son and I have mixed feelings.
Wow. We'll be glad to hear them because I think a majority of us here enjoyed it, including our guest of honor, Mr. Critical Drinker. How you doing?
Good day to you, sir. I'm doing just fine, thank you.
We're so glad to have you here because nobody can break a movie down like you, sir.
Well, I'll do my best.
Well, it sounds like Andre and you and I enjoyed it for the most part, and Jesse is on the fence, so we'll find out here. But Andre, why don't you get the ceremony started?
Yes, absolutely. So Friday, well, actually Thursday, in a baffling move, they decided to start the movie early with some Thursday pre-screenings. Actually, that's not the baffling part. The baffling part is that they put it on HBO Max then as well, completely undermining and undercutting the theatrical model altogether. That's the baffling part. But anyway, on Thursday then, we were finally treated to The Suicide Squad. The sequel, because it is a sequel. You can try to call it any other thing, but it is a sequel that just doesn't assume that you know the original in too much detail to the previous Suicide Squad. And the interesting thing is that this one came from James Gunn, as DC and Warner were able to pick him up after Alan Horn decided to completely and utterly ruin the Marvel Universe, and I do maintain that's what happened, when they fired James Gunn from it. Yes, he came back to Marvel to direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but not to be the architect of the entire cosmic side of the MCU, which is what he would have been. And this movie, Suicide Squad, kind of represents the alternative to that. So a lot of anticipation going in, this coming from the mind that gave us Guardians of the Galaxy and Super and Slither before that. So a lot of anticipation, and the movie, of course, is rated R. So this is something one should consider before taking one's kids to it.
But we already have a box office, at least a prediction, or not prediction, but kind of a they don't exactly know because they usually don't know exact numbers till Monday. But sadly, bringing the movie out early, I think really hurt the box office. We won't know how well it did on HBO Max until they decide to tell us. But it only did 26.5 million in the US. Now they're blaming it on the new variant of the Delta variety. But outside of that, it did do 72.2 million worldwide. So it didn't do horribly everywhere, just in the US. So we'll get into whether or not we think bringing it out early had anything to do with it. But I think you want to start probably with the original film, if I'm not mistaken, Andre, probably get everybody.
Yeah, typically. So yeah, now when we've established the box office, before we get into this movie, what did you all think about the previous one? And following from that, how excited were you for this one? Just before you saw it, just going in. Drinker, I know you weren't too excited based on the very first trailer that came out.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that trailer wasn't representative of the movie. I think they showed some of the worst jokes and some of the most labored stuff. So yeah, like nothing makes me happier than when I'm pleasantly surprised by a film and I can say, yeah, I called it wrong on this one. It was better than I thought it would be. It definitely had issues. If I was to criticize it, I would call it pretty uneven. Quite a few of the jokes don't land very well. It's a bit too long. It's the screenplays. It's still a bit flabby, and it probably could have done with a bit more trimming down. But overall, it's a pretty decent movie. It definitely had me laughing. It's not preachy. It's not woke. It's just good, silly, ridiculous fun, and it knows exactly what it is. And so I enjoyed it overall.
Jesse, how about you? After seeing the original, like you took your son to see this one, how old was your son? And
He's 11.
Everything with the description, yeah.
But yeah, he's seen pretty much everything. But the last movie, it was a pretty disappointing fare. But this one was a lot more fun. It was pretty even-handed. On its own merits, I thought it was all right. I mean, it was campy. They managed to do a good job with that. John Cena wasn't as annoying as I thought he was going to be, but he was stiff. But I liked what they did with him. I enjoyed Idris Elba. I mean, Harley Quinn, enjoyable character. I got to give the girl credit. I mean, Margaret Robbie, as far as I'm concerned, kind of invented this Harley Quinn character over time, because it's not really like the Harley Quinn we know. But she's just kind of like this flighty, crazy broad, and that's fun. And she's cute. There's a couple of things I did. Is this spoiler free or?
This is full on spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll dig into the spoilers as we go on, as we break the movie down piece by piece.
So right now,
that's
just
pretty
your
much
initial
it.
reaction,
Yeah. And Tom, how about you?
I honestly didn't hate the first film. My old review used to be online. It was one of the last things I did before you brought me on board on Midnight's Edge. And no, I kind of enjoyed it, considering I hated Man of Steel and BVS. I was like, this was kind of a breath of fresh air. It was a little different, but I totally saw the flaws with it. And I think I initially gave the first film like a 7 out of 10. But the sequel, I liked quite a bit more. We'll definitely get into why as we get along here, but yeah, I mean, it's not without its flaws, as we'll get into as well. But yeah, I definitely found it an enjoyable film, and it's definitely a James Gunn movie.
Yeah, the R rating was great. Like, they really made use of that. There's plenty of gore, like lots of killing, lots of swearing. It's everything I want from a film like this. It's interesting when you talk about Harley Quinn, because she's such a mixed bag in this film for me. Like, on the one hand, this is probably the best version of Harley Quinn that we've seen. Like, her fight scenes are good, and she's less annoying here than she was in like Birds of Prey. They still don't really know what to do with her. Like, she still feels kind of pointless, and like her segments that she's in, like her subplot, you could remove it from the film essentially, and it wouldn't really change anything.
I agree with you. They should have like released that as like a separate short film. You know what I mean? Because you could have totally lifted that, and that would have helped the pacing of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think they wanted Margot Robbie in it because she's a pretty big star, and I guess she is quite popular. And yeah, like for her part, like she does a good job with the material she has. It's just, yeah, they still didn't integrate her into the story that great. They didn't really do well with Joel Kinnaman either. Like, he kind of suffered from the same problem.
I will say that, though, that in terms of like bringing back the stars of the previous movie, I liked how they gave those the spotlight, and I really, really liked what they did with all the other stars of the previous movie. Can we give some credit and talk about the cold opening? Because that's one of the coolest cold openings that I have seen in any film. And also,
it was done very well.
I would also like to give the movie praise for being... Again, I had done no research in advance. This is one that I deliberately stayed clear of all spoilers and everything. So I went in having no idea what the story was going to be. And this is a movie that is one of very few movies I will give kudos for being unpredictable. At no point did I have any idea what was going to happen next.
Yeah, I did love that intro where it's like... You get to see how like totally useless and impractical like these low-tier superheroes are against men with guns.
With the arms.
Yeah, that scene on the beach where the guy's arms are getting shot.
Well, what's better yet is they were the expendable ones to begin with, and then the guy sold them out, so they were really expendable then.
Just cannon fodder.
I love how they got him right in the face
to the shore.
Yeah, I thought that was like hilarious that you sent in two teams not aware of each other, but that was just such a great way of starting the movie in a way where I hate to use the term subvert expectations, but it certainly was unexpected. I did not see that they were just cannon fodder going in. And I also have to say it was hilarious what they did with that animal. Like that werewolf, just dumped him to his death in the water.
He's
Not
got
a
27
werewolf.
children.
He's a weasel.
He's a weasel, yeah.
Yeah, the weasel. Yeah, that was freaking fantastic.
Yeah, and
No, they could swim.
The woman that tries to take down the chopper and like gets set on fire.
Oh God! But you know what? It's
good,
logical the way they did that. Simply because if you're dealing with a team of people that you cannot trust, I mean, one of them might turncoat, and he did. So there you go.
Yeah.
One of the teams is going to make it.
I thought it was funny how every single one is an idiot. Even the turncoat, he was like, "Hey, I'm here. Now please come and rescue me before my teammates shoot me in the back."
Yeah, for real. Meanwhile, he does this in an open field.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's obviously Captain Boomerang doesn't last too long either, which was a nice little surprise.
I have to say, if you think back to the original movie, you know what he does in it? If you just watch that movie, I don't know about the air.
Not a whole lot.
Not the whole. He's there along for the ride. He doesn't do jack shit in the entire film.
That movie, basically.
He's literally there along for the ride. It's like, oh, he came too. But he does nothing. And his ability is throwing boomerangs. I mean, I'll give him credit for at least this time he chopped off a head or two or a skull or two with that boomerang. That's more than he did in the previous movie, where he did literally nothing. So, like, the best thing he ever did for the thing was subverting expectations by dying in fire or impaled, which was still pretty cool.
It was strange that they sent Flag in with the decoy team basically to be cannon fodder, because you think that guy is actually more important and he's not the kind of guy you'd want to get killed in the first few minutes of the mission. But
I think that was showing where, I mean, they were meant to be a diversion, but I don't think Waller expected to get sold out, even though, like Jesse said, you should. With this kind of group of people, you should almost expect that. But like, then again, how is he going to? Were they going to also remove his? How are they going to remove his thing from his skull before Waller could blow it up? Is beyond me. So the guy, I don't know what
he did not think that through.
He didn't think the whole thing through. Evidently, he's an idiot, obviously. But
yeah, he was just a prick. Look what he did to Salba right in. We pulled the toilet paper off of his shoe and threw it at him. What is that?
That's Pete Davidson anyway, wasn't it? I hate him.
Well, I think everyone does. I mean, they probably were very happy, anticipated. Everyone hates this guy. So everyone is going to be sharing when he got his face shot off.
Yeah. I like how Michael Rooker just says, like, fuck this, and tries to, like, swim away. Straight away just gets blown up.
They spent a lot of money on killing him in the opening scene.
Yeah, they did. Getting him in the first place and everything. Again, but to me, this is actually when I knew that, I'm gonna have a good time with this movie, because I have to say, one of the best cold openings ever with that, and then going back and we see how that all started with the different teams. That was pretty freaking sweet.
This movie plays around with the chronology a fair bit. Just doing something, having something really inexplicable happen, and then jumping back by like an hour or 10 minutes or whatever to then explain how that came about. It works great in the opening. It's a little bit irritating when it happens near the finale, because it feels like that's the point where you don't really want to be playing around with chronology. You kind of just want to be like, rushing towards the resolution of the movie. But
I like the way they did it, though, because it's like when he was falling through the floors, I mean, that would have made absolutely no sense if he just appeared out of nowhere.
No, that's what I mean.
I suppose they could have just flipped the scenes and put one after it.
Yeah, you could have just intercut it or something like that. But it was fine. It didn't fail or anything for me. It was a weird thing to do at that point in the movie.
Now, Critical, what did you think about the transition framing that they did throughout this whole movie with all the different interesting things written across, like the beach and the sand and then fire and all that?
Oh, that stuff was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I was fine with it. It's a stylistic choice. It's not something that I need to see or anything, but it's like, fair enough if that's what you want to do.
But you think they brought it up to the edge? Do you think they brought up like to the edge of that stylistic point without making it distracting?
I would say so. I mean, you very clearly feel then like the movie's divided up into chapters.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if it needs, but because it's not a complex story, this film. Like, it's really pretty simplistic. They've got to sneak in to this island. find the guy that can lead them to the fortress and then go in and blow the place up. And that's essentially what you get.
To me, it felt almost like you're getting like 2 or 3 comic books like in a series. And to me, like the way he cut it is like it's the closest we've gotten to an actual comic book being captured on screen since like Ang Lee's Hulk or Sin City, probably. Like I liked how it was the transitions and just how it worked. I thought, at least to me, it felt like we were actually watching a comic book on screen. And I mean, a lot of people have compared this to Guardians of the Galaxy, but I don't feel that. I felt it was.
I don't see that at all.
Yeah, I felt that it was more in the tone of Super. And I think I told you that before you went and saw it, Andre. So I'm curious how you felt about that.
Yeah, no, I agree. For those that have not seen Super, go see it. It's a great freaking movie. That's one thing. And tonally, this movie is very, very close with Super. So everyone should absolutely see that. And before we move on, I have a couple of super chats here. Stephen Otten says, "Hail, Andre, Tom, Drinker, Jesse, Wrenches, and chat. I found the Suicide Squad to be surprisingly entertaining. This is the movie we should have gotten in 2016. Yeah, no argues from me on that point, because I think the 2016 movie, both versions we have so far, are a complete mess. Culture Casino says the film is good, not great. I also enjoyed the first one, probably because I saw the extended cut version first. Yeah, not a big difference, but yeah. And Martino Solmoni says for 20 Swiss francs, Midnight's Edge panel on Sunday, me like. Oh, well, that's cool. Glad you approve. And Daryl Brewer says it's your mom.
Polka Dot Man was amazing.
Yeah, that was amazing. We're going to get into that presently, the new team and each character in it. Before then, John Apocalypse wonders, is this a 4th film Gunn killed Michael Rooker?
Might be.
I haven't counted. I have no idea.
Because he was in all his other movies practically, except for like 1 or 2, I think. So
yeah.
And I think he's killed him in almost every one except for the first Guardians movie.
Yeah. And then Nephilim, for some reason, thinks that Yellowfish lost his manhood last night.
I missed the show. It must be.
I know nothing about that. So
it must be a reference to last night's show that I missed. Sorry.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. So yeah. But moving on, let's get back into the movie, because after the cold opening and the distraction of the, shall we call them the decoy squad, the ones that end up drawing all the enemy fire so that the real Suicide Squad can...
Like a third of them were still alive by the end and became part of the regular group, but yeah.
Yeah, you mean Harley got captured and, Flag got taken in by the resistance fighters.
Yeah, basically, the characters that we want to follow from the previous movie, yeah, they were the ones that made it. But before we get to the resistance, and I have something to say
Idris
about that.
Elba was great as Will Smith in this one.
Yes, exactly. That's what I mean.
He's a much better Will Smith.
I liked Will Smith in the original. Like, I will say that. Like, and I generally consider him a more fun actor than Idris Elba, but like they were playing kind of different characters, and Idris was much more, I don't know, serious and dark than Will Smith's version was.
I can't believe you like Will Smith.
I like Will Smith, dude.
I think the guy's got charisma. Like he can make movies work,
but I
shouldn't.
In my defense, though, I've liked Will Smith since he was the Fresh Prince.
Yeah, but he's always the Fresh Prince.
No, but like I've liked him since like the early 90s. So.
I will say there is one movie I did not like him in, of movies I've seen him in, though. I haven't seen him in.
He's had a few I don't like.
But I did not like him in the Suicide Squad. Maybe it's the cut or whatever, but I didn't like him in the first movie. Not at all. I thought that whole movie was a mess. I thought he was bad in it. But
jokes aside, I was about to say, like, Idris Elba plays a similar character, but much
very
better.
Similar. Speaking of similar, I really thought it was like hilarious how I have to hear what you guys think about that. How you have like the juxtaposition of Idris Elba's characters with the John China's character. Who were told everyone is going to be so unique.
Yeah,
and you have two that are pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah, it's like I love how straight away they get into a pissing contest with each other. He's, John Cena's like, "Oh, I can shoot more accurately than you," He's like, how are you going to do that? It's like, well, I'll shoot through the bullet holes that you shoot, and my bullets will be smaller, so like they won't even touch the sides.
Which is kind of cool because it kind of plays into the ending too.
Yeah, well, it's a nice setup and payoff. So like little things like that are nicely done. But yeah, I genuinely thought John Cena's character was great in this. Like he's really deadpan. He's got that kind of flair for comedy. He was good. I liked him.
Now, Andre will know. I like right after I saw it, I said that was the part I hated the most was John Cena. Like he just felt out of place. But the more I think about it, because like I was thinking back, I was like, yeah, there was bits I kind of laughed at, especially when they go into the camp all Rambo style. And then they realize they just killed all the good guys.
That scene was
that was definitely the funniest part of the movie because they're standing there like, how do we tell them?
James Gunn just knows exactly how to pace that scene.
We didn't see anybody.
Yeah, well, because there's like this few seconds of just silence where you can just imagine them all shitting themselves. Like, oh God, what have we done?
You know, but my son turned to me when we were watching that. He says, "How did they not hear any of this?"
Yeah,
because they were like Rambo styling.
Yeah, but they were shooting on the beach.
You know the bit that made me laugh, and it probably got more of a laugh out of me than it should have done. But like when they're going into the big fortress, and they have to use the thinker like on a kind of optical receiver thing, and John Cena just slams his head into it multiple times, and like to the point where it actually breaks it. Like it just really made me laugh.
Yeah, I thought he killed him when he did that.
Yeah.
I also think about the Cena though. I will say that I so wish that the actors could shut the hell up in the private life. Same with directors, producers, all of that. Because on screen, I do like John Cena. I liked him here. I thought he was one of the best parts of Transformers Bumblebee. He was amazing in that one. So I'm going to be more with the drinker than Tom on this one. I just wish that he would like shut up and not make such a fool out of himself in real life, because it makes it more difficult to enjoy his on-screen persona. Well, and I did enjoy him in this movie.
Yeah, isn't that something we'll probably see less of now? Is Hollywood not kind of pulling out of China a little bit? And so there's going to perhaps be less pandering to them.
Yeah, let's hope so. And let's hope that the John Cena social credit score in China is so low that he'll never speak Chinese ever again.
Yeah. Quickly around the board, I don't have any desire to see his series. Like there's not, I mean, yeah, I enjoyed him in the film, all right, but like to me, he was the weakest link in the chain of the film, and I have zero desire to see the series. How about you, Drinker?
Yeah, I mean, genuinely, I enjoyed him in this movie. He was kind of wooden in Fast and Furious, you know, and like that perhaps wasn't as well suited to him. But like here, doing that kind of deadpan style of comedy, and you know, as big as he is, like there's just something kind of funny about him. Yeah, I wouldn't rush out to see another John Cena movie, but like I think in the context of this film, he was fine.
So you'll be
because they're making like a spin-off series about
that's what I'm asking
on HBO Max. How interested are you in that?
I don't know about this. What is this that they're making?
No, you saw like the post-credit scene, right? That's what they were setting up in the post-credit scene. Is the Peacemaker HBO Max series?
Now, I may not have stayed for the post-credit scene.
Or did you not see that there was a post-credit scene?
No, because I just wanted to, like, I was going out to the pub afterwards, and so we kind of wanted to get out of there as quickly as possible.
Oh, well, quickly, there's a scene where he's still alive.
Oh, okay.
He lives. And they can just save the world, and that's the Peacemaker series on HBO Max.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I thought he was dead, too.
Okay, well, yeah, that's what I'm asking is like,
so both people who saw this in
theaters
missed out on the post-credit scene.
Like the
because like we were sitting there during the credits, right? And my mate looks at me and he's like, should we stay and see if there's a post-credit scene? And I was like, no, that's Marvel that does that stuff. I don't think DC really bothers with it. And so we left.
Always check. Always Google and check, man.
Yeah, I thought they stopped doing that. Like it became passe or something.
No, well, in this case, they did because of the John Cena show coming. So yeah, there is going to be a Peacemaker TV show. So that was my main question. Are you interested?
To
in
those wondering,
okay.
In the chat, it was Flag, right? No, it was John Cena. It was
Right.
John Cena's character that is being brought back from the dead straight to HBO Max.
So if you're asking me, would I want to see an entire series around him? Probably not. He's kind of like Harley Quinn in that way, and that he's good in small doses, but like to have an entire movie or an entire TV show with him, would probably be a bit much. I think it would wear thin.
All right, Jesse, you interested in a Peacemaker TV series?
No.
I didn't think so.
That was pretty easy. Yeah. I'll take me a. It's not like it's anything I'll rush out to see, but if it's there, I'll check it out.
Well, that's not boding well for that show then.
Yeah, but Andre, how are you going to have a character like this who ain't playing off of somebody? That's my thing.
Well, we don't know who else is going to be in the series.
That's a good point.
We don't know
Jesse,
who else he's going
to
play off there.
The only reason I liked him in this was because of Idris, right? Like,
Yeah,
they had to play off of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had good chemistry. They worked well together, I think.
So it all depends on someone else joining in with their cast.
Yeah.
Right.
But let's get back to the cast, because we are clearly then a little bit divided on John Cena, or John China, as some like to call him.
I didn't hate him. That's the thing. Like, there's very little I disliked about this movie, right? Even the bits, like I was like with Drinker and we were saying earlier, it's like, yeah, you could lift a lot of Harley shit out of this movie and it wouldn't matter. Even though I still liked it though, right? And that's where I was like, just release it as a short film, because I still loved that whole bit with her and that president guy. So let's go with Harley then. Like, honestly, I think this is the best Harley we've ever had.
Yeah, I think if you compare this one to how she was in Birds of Prey, this is an immense improvement. Much better version of Harley Quinn. And, she actually looks pretty good during the fight scenes and stuff. So that was fine.
Overpowered, but
yeah, and clearly, like, she can survive having an entire fucking building collapse on her. Yeah. So God knows how that works.
There's one point during the end where she jumps off of a car onto a balcony and she jumps over her own height.
Yeah.
Hated it. Totally broke my suspended disbelief.
Yeah, that's the thing. Her shit, there was a few times, like when she's lifting that dude off the ground and breaking his neck and shit on the chains, that was a little...
But a woman could do that. A woman could do that.
This film is not about realism or believability.
No, not
complete silly nonsense. And so in that context, I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
There was a lot of that fight bits I could let go. But again, it's just like, I have a hard time believing some 5'0" 100-pound wet,
Well, you know what? The thing is that a woman would be able to do that, hypothetically speaking, but you've never, ever seen Harley Quinn doing any sort of training or working out or anything. She's just a natural god fighter in these movies, and that's not her character. So that's a gripe, but whatever. I guess if you get beat up by Batman enough, you learn how to block.
I suppose. Well, this is what I was saying, Michelle, is I didn't really like him. He is kind of a jerk in the movie. I didn't really like that he came. None of us have any interest. Like, they should have just let him die.
I mean, he was never portrayed. He was never meant to be like a good guy. Like, he was clearly psychotic. All his comments about how he loves peace and he doesn't care how many men, women, and children he has to kill to get it.
He wasn't kidding.
Yeah, and it's like, obviously he's some perverted version of, like,
Captain America.
Captain America type thing, where he can't. All he cares about is the end result, and he doesn't care about human life in the slightest. So he's not a good guy that you're meant to like, but he's just a kind of funny, a funny character who's just deadpan and just doesn't give a shit. And so there's fun to be had with that, I think.
I will agree, though, that, like, of all the actors, he is the like I said, he's the weakest link. Like, acting wise, he does not have the chops the rest do. He does well with Idris Elba. He bounces off of him real well, but that's about it.
The character I thought was going to be the most annoying, and I can't remember her name, but she's like the one who can control the rats.
Oh, Ratcatcher 2.
Ratcatcher 2. Let's call it that then. She started off super irritating. Just like the fact that she always wants to sleep, and then I warmed to her more as the movie as it went on. But to begin with, I thought, oh fuck, this character's annoying.
I liked her because she was like the way into the Shark King, who was the best character in the entire movie. I wish we could have gotten more of him.
Yeah, he was pretty funny. He's
New
like, nom-noms?
Yeah, and everyone's having to keep telling him, like, no nom-noms.
How heavy of a sleeper are you?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's quite a heavy sleeper. And I just... he was so funny, and I have to say, like, I just loved the character design. When you look in the comics and all, like sometimes he's a hammerhead shark, and he's always like really lean and buff and like a proper bodybuilder. But this build right here, it was so perfect. So like this is like one of the best adaptations, visual adaptations, from the comic to the page I have ever seen. And like making, if you actually had a shark walking around, this is what it looked like.
Yeah. I just love the fact that they don't even try to explain like where he comes from or anything. It's like, it's just a giant shark with hands that walks around and talks.
He's descendant of a god. That's all.
That's kind of what they said. Like as if that's just a thing that happens. You know,
he has a taste for human flesh, so keep some distance. Like keep your hands and legs to yourself.
Yeah, he gets hungry. Yeah, I love the Starro thing as well. Like just a giant starfish that destroys buildings and stuff.
Oh, we'll get into the
I know that's jumping ahead.
Now I will say this though, at least he looked as far as King Shark looked a lot better here than he did in the trailer. Because like I know a lot of people were complaining about how cartoony he looked in the trailer. They clearly weren't done with his CGI yet. I think, especially when you get to that scene where they go close up and they're riding through town in the van. They did a really great job. There's some of the CGI in this movie, some of the best I've seen in a while. Especially with King Shark and Starro and stuff, not to jump ahead on Starro, but yeah, like most of King Shark stuff really worked for me. And I normally don't like CGI characters. And, you know, a lot of people are comparing it to Groot, but I actually liked him better than Groot.
Yeah, me too. I'll take this guy over Groot any day.
And I love
Baby Groot.
Yeah, and I loved Sly being the voice is another great bit. So like, it was just a perfect package for me. And I get it. A lot of people want like the little bit smarter King Shark, which is fine and fair, but I just liked this iteration. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, to me, it's much like how they dumbed down. What's his face again in Guardians of the Galaxy, like the Thanos Slayer. He was played by the bodybuilder.
Oh, Drax.
Drax, yeah. They also like to me, it's very similar because Drax was a pretty smart guy in the comics, and they really dumbed him down for the movie. But James Gunn made it work, and same thing here. I thought King Shark worked amazingly. I just loved how he ate people, especially that guy in the camp, which we're about to get to.
Yeah.
After we've also gotten to hilarious. Unless Jesse, you have something to add about King Shark.
Oh, I did like him a hell of a lot more than Groot. I thought it was very silly. I mean, he was intelligent in a very low-end way because he wanted to look like he was smarter than he is. But he was just a big meathead, and he was indestructible. So, I mean, you got to love a big, indestructible meathead.
I love when you see him walking around, and he's never generally in a rush to get anywhere. He just kind of ambles wherever he's going.
You wouldn't be in a rush either. You're indestructible, and you're a shark.
Like when they're doing that shit at the end, and he turns around and everybody's gone, and he's just like, "Oh well," and he just walks off.
I use disguise.
Yeah. Like mustache isn't going to cut it, mate.
I thought they were honestly going to put him in a fake mustache and like a tarp and have him just like walking by himself as a distraction.
There's good bits though. You feel kind of sorry for him, like when they're all partying in the nightclub.
Yes.
And it cuts to him sitting in the van on his own.
I gotta watch this movie again. It really was a better movie than I
want to go back to it. Yeah, I tried to get.
I look forward to seeing it again now.
You're so afraid to like things these days, you know, because it's always like, did I miss something? Did they take a jab somewhere? No, they really did.
Really, and they even do a good job with the whole like they didn't have a bad dad thing going through the whole thing. Like, because was part of his character is becoming a better dad, right? And then you have Ratcatcher 2, where she loved her dad. You know, and so you didn't have the bad dad syndrome.
You didn't have the incompetent males getting upstaged by like, you know, super-powered females either. Like it's generally pretty balanced. And yeah, like definitely Idris and Cena and Flag were like the main guys. You know, they were very much the core of the story.
The dialogue between Idris and his daughter was freaking fantastic. Just like how completely unremorseful he was. Like,
your mother
produced the parental test. It was like, I never asked for this. I never asked for you. It was just like so refreshingly honest. And
anybody who's ever had a teenager knows how realistic that scene was.
Yeah, like how he properly yells at her as well. Like they're both just screaming "fuck you" at each other for ages.
Fuck you!
Like, he's so immature. Yeah.
Oh, trust me, you get a teenager after a while, you get enough arguments, you lose your cool. It's just at some point you just turn into another teenager yourself. It just happens sometimes. You can't help it. Because it's just you get so stupid in the argument. It's like, why are we arguing about this? And why are you acting this way? It's just, yeah. No, I love their whole thing, and I thought it was a really well done arc for him. And I like that she was trying to make him a leader and all that kind of stuff. And at first, it kind of come off a little, oh yeah, okay. But then by the end of the movie, everything seemed to pay off so well, and that just proves how good of a storyteller Gunn is, right? Like, that's the thing is I think that we overlook most of all in these films is even as simplistic as this story is, he knew he had to keep the story simplistic because it's full of a ton of characters. And we got to know each and every last one of them, even the ones that got axed in the first few minutes, right? Like we knew almost every one of them by the end of the movie, who they were, what they're all about, and all that kind of stuff. So I thought it was really well balanced. Like even Harley didn't take over, because that was one of my few complaints with the first film, aside from the Joker, was it was basically Harley Quinn and the Suicide Squad. I didn't feel that way here, because there's a good patch of the movie where she's gone, and that's probably why they didn't delete her scene, besides the fact of how they're going to explain where she got the dress. Would just be like, she's gone for so much of the movie, you got to have Harley in there, right? So that's the only reason her scenes, I think, are still in there, because otherwise she wouldn't have been in the movie for about 40-45 minutes or better.
Yeah, you would absolutely forget about her. And I think it was, it was fine to have her in it. Like I say, she still feels kind of superfluous as a character, but I understand the reasons for having her in. She's popular and all the rest of it, and fine, I can live with it, I guess. There's definitely scenes around the midpoint of the movie where it was dragging a little, where it kind of felt like they could have tightened it up a little bit. Because this movie was well over 2 hours, wasn't it? And
I think it was like 25, I think.
It was quite a lengthy movie.
You probably could have cut 20 minutes out of it, and I think it would have made for a better film.
I think it would have done really well as a miniseries.
Yeah, you could have trimmed it up, though, and that's what I was saying. You could have lifted that whole bit out of the middle. And then maybe that would have been the fun of it, is like release that as a short film. And then just, you don't know why she's in that red dress, and she just says, oh, it's a long story. And then we know because we see in the short film, right? Like, because you could have lifted all that out. You don't really need it.
You know, the thing that pissed me off quite a bit about her in this film, though, is like a lot of the gags that they gave her were really labored. You know, the whole thing about like she gets the javelin, which ultimately becomes kind of important for her, but the gag about, she's to carry it, and the guy doesn't get to finish his sentence before he dies, and then for ages she's going like, oh, why, who have I to carry it for, why, what have I to do with it? And it's, I guess it can be funny, like just on a one shot kind of thing, but the fact that they keep it going for like 30 seconds of screen time, it's really unnecessary. Like things like that happen quite a bit with her, and it's a shame because they didn't need to do it.
No, but I also agree with some of the guys on FNT when we brought it up the other night. Like that scene with her leaving with the cartoons and stuff, that almost felt like James Gunn being like, this is how you're supposed to do a Birds of Prey movie. That was better in like 4 minutes than they did in that entire movie.
Yeah, this was very much like the police station shootout in Birds of Prey, where she goes in with the grenade launcher and stuff, and it's all the psychedelic smoke. Similar idea here with the flowers behind her.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it was like Gunn going, here you go. This is how it should have been. Like,
yeah,
I agree with that. I don't know if you saw Birds of Prey, Jesse, but I think it was garbage.
I much prefer this one. Let's put it that way.
I will admit I saw Birds of Prey because it was free. And yeah, it wasn't good.
It wasn't good.
No, it wasn't. Even if he took the same overall story, you could have made it good by simply, making the characters who they're supposed to be instead of, just a bunch of bitchy women. Whatever.
Okay, well, next to character I think we should talk about is Milton.
No, the legend that is Milton. Again, like that was kind of funny that they couldn't remember him and stuff, but then they again kept that gag going for too long, like longer than it needed. They could have just moved on from it, but yeah, generally it was kind of funny.
Did you like when she called Bloodsport Milton?
Yeah, and he's like, "That's not my name." He just walks away from it.
Yeah, I liked how they pointed out, like, why the hell did he tag along? No one asked him.
Yeah, I just love how he gets killed in like.
What was he planning to do?
Yeah,
he's just carrying a bag with something in it. No, probably snacks or something.
Yeah. And he just gets killed in the most like undramatic way. Like just a couple of soldiers come in and gun him down, and that's it. He's gone.
Yeah, and he got off the hook lightly. But let's also talk about one of my favorites outside of the shark, of course, Polka Dot Man. How awesome was Polka Dot Man?
He was awesome until they friggin' killed him for no good reason.
That's the one character that actually bothered me besides Michael Rooker when he died. I was like, oh.
Yeah, but
no, it was a good arc that he went on, though. His whole thing was that he was afraid to kill and that he didn't really want to be a hero or anything like that. And then he actually becomes one right at the end and then dies. It's a nice, like, satisfying arc for him to go on.
I did laugh, don't get me wrong, but I still was kind of like, oh.
I thought he was really well done because it's like, first off, he says, I don't like to kill people. I can only kill people if I picture them as my mother. Then it's okay. Now, then he goes and he sees all of his friends later, and they all have his mother's face. And I'm just thinking to myself, this guy is a full-blown psychopath.
Yeah.
It's
really when he's dancing in the nightclub, and like all the people he's dancing with, he sees them as his mom.
Yeah, as I said, like he's so traumatized by her that he sees her everywhere, which obviously why he's like this shaking little leaf that's afraid of everyone, and yeah. But of course, I think it's like. He sees everyone as his mom, but he doesn't see everyone as the version of the mom that he wants to kill. And I really liked that rip-off from the first Avengers movie, when you had like Captain America telling Hulk smash, because that kind of like you had like two moments like that here with Starro later on. When Idris basically first told Shark, there, num num. I was like, one, and the other was, there's your mother, take her out.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I love because it made him a leader. Like I loved how it progressed because like at first I'm like, no, come on, because just there were so many things at moments where I'm like, oh, this movie's about to go off the rails, it's about to go stupid, but it just kept me in, and I loved it because. Even though I know a lot of it was just so fucking stupid, right? That's what I love about it. And Gunn just relishes in that shit. Like he's a kid in a sandbox and he's loving every minute of it, especially when he's got the blood and the gore happening. I mean, my God. I mean,
I will give this movie a lot of credit because not many films have the balls to go R-rated these days. But if you're going to do it, you might as well go all in. And they really
doesn't it just free everything up though?
I don't know how they did an NC-17 the first time out.
I miss action movies, right, where people are swearing all the time and there's blood and guts and gore.
Because military people and mercs, they never curse.
Yeah.
And I even laughed at the dick. Like, that was kind of funny. Like, the naked dude. And then we got plenty of tits and ass to go along with it. So it's not like it was one-sided or anything. So
Wait a minute. There was a dick?
Yeah, you didn't see that in the one part where they're in the...
when they're sneaking into the village, I think John Cena takes the guy out. And he's just standing there with his dick hanging out.
Didn't even notice. I just thought it was funny when he walked past the guy on the table and he just chops him up with a hatchet and keeps walking. That made me laugh.
I liked it. I liked it when he shoots the fan and this guy's just having a bath and it knocks the fan into the bathtub and electrocutes him.
It's like they're trying to outdo each other with how more interesting deaths they can make.
It's like, why would that guy be taking a bath out in the open like that with a TV precariously perched above his bathtub in the middle of the jungle?
Yeah, like Simone Pires says, the dick dude in the shower. Because that's the best part about that scene, and that's James Gunn in a nutshell, right? Like that scene in and of itself is hilarious if they were just killing the bad guys. But then you realize, no, they killed all the good guys. It's like we already talked about the post of that scene, but that's the greatest part about it. But yeah, Polka Dot Man really bothered me when he died because it was like that's the only one I really felt. Because the first guys you kind of really they're disposable-ish, and the rest of them is like, okay, this as the movie went along, you knew some were going to lose it. But he was just one of them that I was just like, oh man, like as long as King Shark doesn't die, that's what I said next right after that.
Yeah, that's what I said too. Like the whole movie, I was like afraid of King Shark dying because I liked him so much, and everyone else was like an acceptable sacrifice. So yeah, I was very sad to see Polka Dot Man not moving on because he was so cool, and the actor he's a real geek. Like he's a comic book writer, and he's also Peter de Vries in the upcoming Dune, which I think is going to be excellent in. Yeah, but let's get back to the rescue of Rick Flag. When he's being held captive, they kill everyone in the most hilarious and brutal of ways. I also have to give credit to how awesome, because of course you had King Shark, how he ate the guy, that was glorious, but also how Peacemaker stabbed the guy who was lying and sleeping, just like walking by and stabbing him.
That's
like
we were just saying.
Yeah, he hacked the shit out of that guy.
Yeah.
And he makes it all look so nonchalant as well. Like him and Idris Elba, like they're kind of looking at each other and just like, shooting over their shoulders and stuff. Like they're not even looking where they're aiming because they're both trying to like outdo each other. It's a great way of doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that bit too. What was the other
guys you never want to do a stealth mission with?
Yeah, but still, yeah, it's a point that someone obviously would have heard. But just like that moment when you realize, like, oh shit, we just went and we killed all the friendlies.
Yeah, and it just seems like the kind of thing that group would do because they're kind of fuck ups and like they don't really care about casualties or anything. It's like, yeah, that seems like the kind of mistake they would make because they don't bother to check anything.
This whole part bothered me because it's like, okay, we killed all your buddies, ha ha ha. But then they still want this girl's help. It's like they want her because of her forces. You just killed all of her forces. It took you like 2 seconds. What do you want them for?
Well, it's not so much the forces, but she knows how to get them.
It's a local knowledge.
Yeah.
She still has, even if she has no forces, she alone still has the local forces or local knowledge of bad guy in this building. Bad guy likes to hang out at that strip club.
And just the hearts of the people and all that too.
Knowledge right there. And of course, she was like heartbroken and like really, really pissed and everything, and rightfully so. But like they pointed out that, let's just like, we get that you're a little bit pissed, but let's just focus on we're here for the same thing right now.
Moving on.
Yeah, there was a few of those moments that are very much comic booky, don't get me wrong. But they at least paid him enough attention where I could buy it. Even like when Amanda Waller got hit. Like, okay, you would normally think she would go after each and every one of the people that did it.
Oh, I still worry for those people.
Oh, I know. I'm sure because we didn't
some of them are going to turn up missing. I was going to say
we didn't even see the one lady who actually hit her in that last scene, if I remember correctly. But the rest of them were there, but like she wasn't, and the rest of them seemed like they had gotten a talking to. So
the kind of staff that work there at the base and like they're kind of monitoring everything. They did start to piss me off a little bit when they're so like comically incompetent, like they're falling asleep at their desks and stuff. Like that just seemed a little bit unnecessary. Like it seems like the kind of people that would work under Waller would be much more on the ball because they would know that she would kill them if they fucked up.
Yeah, I hate whenever they make it too easy because in real life it ain't like that.
Yeah, I mean that was the only thing I think they should have showed a little bit more what the repercussions were, because it makes it feel like she let him off scot-free, but I don't think that was the case. Like, because like I said, you don't see the one that actually hit her from my recollection in that last scene, and the rest of them look like they knew that the shit hit the fan or whatever. But she also knew she was kind of wrong, so that's probably why she let a lot of it slide this time. And then she also had kind of handed to her by Idris Elba's character, by him kind of making the ultimatum to her and shit. Like, I like how it all wrapped up. It wasn't that complicated of a thing. It didn't take much for me to buy into the whole, like, obviously Waller's real reason for getting there wasn't to stop Starro so much as it was just to get rid of the fucking evidence. Like that to me was like, okay, that makes sense. Like all that stuff was fine with me. I had no problems. All the major plot points made sense to me. I'm still trying to think of any major plot jumps or anything that I missed that felt out of place outside of those two things that we just brought up. Those are the only two parts to me that I was kind of like, but all right,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the benefit of having a pretty simplistic plot. There's not an awful lot that you can get wrong.
No, and that's the thing. And again, like I said, those two asks are not a lot. If you add in like Harley being a little OP, okay, that's 3 asks, big deal.
Yeah. I like how when they torture her, they do it in a way that like doesn't actually cause any long-term damage or anything. It's just like, we're going to hit you with a taser over and over again.
I was also thinking that like, okay, now is when we know we're watching a movie because they're hanging there and they're letting her keep that dress on. So yeah. But getting back to that precedent for a moment.
You're really right. They would have stripped her naked, covered her with water, then tased her.
Yeah, exactly. So she got away pretty lightly on that one. Well, let's just go with that. One thing that I was like almost surprised by that I didn't think was going to happen in a DC movie was her actually getting it on with the president dude.
Oh yeah, that was really funny actually, because she was even like, she liked him. She liked him in bed.
She was the one completely in control there. Like it wasn't him forcing his way or something. She was like, "Oh yeah, I like you. I can get. We can do this."
I think what's funny about it is like when it first started happening, I was just sitting there thinking, where the hell is this going? Because it seems to be quite a long segment. And then you realize it's all just kind of a lead up to the joke that she just shoots him.
Right.
And that's it. Like you realize then, okay, this is the real Harley Quinn here who has a kind of sense of right and wrong somewhere in there, but like also has no qualms about calmly gunning someone down and doesn't really think of the consequences of doing it.
No. And again, that's where it's like there's that whole bit again serves no real purpose to the plot overall. Like none of it holds any real repercussions outside of they got to go and get Harley anyway. Well, she was already captured, but I still loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, but like overall, if she hadn't taken out that likable president character, even though he was a piece of crap, I mean, couldn't.
Well,
if the other guy that was worse didn't come in at the end, they would have just all talked to each other, and that would have been the end of the movie.
That guy was put in the movie exclusively so that she could have a reason for being in the movie too.
That's very true. That's very true.
Because like if you're talking about plot holes and stuff, it doesn't really make sense why he would care about her and why he would actually want to get married to her.
Exactly.
There's bound to be a million women on that island.
I guess he fancied her, seen her on the news and stuff like that. Wanted the exclusivity of being with like a superhero.
Yeah, it's a little loose.
Something like that. I mean, I'm sure if he had the opportunity of going with Wonder Woman, he would have taken it. But he probably
wouldn't we all, Andre?
Yeah, wouldn't we all?
Yeah,
she's pretty high up there on the hot crazy scale.
The only other reason he's in there is because he's tangentially connected to what's his face's character, the brain guy. Just forgot.
Doctor Who.
Yeah, Dr. Holt. Is it Capaldi?
Doctor Who.
Peter Capaldi.
Yeah. Like that's the only other reason he's there is because he's tangentially connected to that character, and even that point, he's not really that big of a deal. Because like even that character, that's my only. Maybe if I had one other gripe. Is that character is kind of under because they probably gave so much screen time to Harley. The bad guy, Capaldi's character, is a little underdeveloped.
Yeah, you've essentially got 3 bad guys in this movie. Then, apart from Starro, who's just kind of a monster, really.
Yeah, it's like the bonus kaiju coming in towards the end there.
Yeah, so you've got good president guy who wants to marry Harley, evil president guy who's just like a general who wants to like conquer the world. And then the thinker who's just a mad scientist. And, the good president guy, he only exists because we had to give Harley something to do. Because if he didn't, then literally her entire arc in this story would be she gets captured and tortured for a bit and then eventually escapes. And that wouldn't be very interesting. So there's that. And then the result is the evil general guy. It's just kind of flat. Like he's just a kind of one-dimensional bad guy. There's not really anything to him. The thinker's the only one that's got some potential, and then even then you don't get a huge amount from him.
I will say though about the good president guy, I was very happy to see the actor whose name I believe is Juan Diego Botto, To those that have seen the 90s Zorro TV series, he was Felipe, the mute manservant in it.
I don't remember that show at all.
Well, you've missed out because that was a great show. But anyway, to those that do remember that series, that was him. So yeah, it was cool seeing him again. I just had to throw that in there because I was like, wait, Botto, I think I've seen that guy before. And yeah, he was in the 90s Zorro series.
Yeah, Metal Mugen, that's just what we were just saying, was Thinker was underutilized big time.
Yeah.
I mean, I still like the character, and I think he was in it enough, but they definitely could have trimmed some other places to give him some more development, for sure.
There's a comment here from Dark Winter, who, I don't know if you can bring it up, actually, it's slightly further back, where he's saying it would have made more sense for Thinker, yeah, there we go, if he called to Waller for help and they were supposed to rescue him, and in return that he helped them removing the incriminating evidence instead, rather than him just being this guy who switches sides when there's a military coup, and he's like, oh, I guess I'm working for these guys now, and then, what did he expect to happen? Clearly, the Americans were going to send someone in to, eliminate the evidence.
Well, they kind of had him reluctantly helping, because remember, they had to slam his face into the thing to get him to do the eye thing so they could get in, and they just kind of drug him along and had him at gunpoint and shit, and he tried to flag down the bad guys there.
Yeah, he doesn't want to waste the last 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking more about when the evil general guys take over, because they've staged a military coup. Right.
Yeah,
and he just immediately joins them because he wants to save his own ass. But then it's not like he's being forced to do it, really. He's free to move around the island as much as he wants. He goes to the strip club, and that's how they're able to capture him. So if he's got that freedom of movement, he would know that Waller's going to send people in to eliminate the evidence of America's involvement. So he should probably hightail out of there.
Yeah, I got you. I thought you meant when he's helping the other guys. I'm sorry, that was
no, that's cool.
Yeah, indeed. And also, while we are addressing comments from the chats that we try to do whenever we can, we also have a couple of super chats. I can no longer bring them up on screen, but let's bring them up anyway. Mr. Tickle Trunk says, hit the like button and share the link, everyone. Yes, indeed. And Ackles Floozy says for $5, hail all new to this channel, just subtly stalking the drinker wherever he goes. Wow, this is a good place, and the drinker will show up here every once in a while. And Mike Beat Tix, the username that I love saying without having the super chat to bring up on screen. He says, num num, not a num num. And then Dash Attack wonders, what did you all think of Starro? Going cosmic horror route to make him less silly was a good idea and really paid off. I don't know why he didn't make his minions pick up the guns. Would have helped.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get into that for a moment. I feel we've gotten that far. Starro, what did you all think about him?
I think my favorite moment of the movie might have been when Starro first bursts out of the building, and then the camera cuts back to a couple who are watching it from a couple of miles away, and the guy just goes, "What the actual fuck?"
Yeah. That was, he doesn't actually say that, but kudos for making the subtitling funny. I remember I understood exactly what he said because I do speak a little bit of Spanish. Actually, I understand more than I speak, and I understood what he said, and he didn't say that. But kudos for making the subtitling funny.
Yeah, I think it's just it would be your exact reaction to seeing a giant starfish rampaging across the city.
Oh, hell yeah. There's nothing wrong with that reaction. Either the subtitle or the original Spanish language version of it were both justified.
As people pointed out in chat as well, Starro's got such a tragic final line where he's like, I just wanted to float in space and look at the stars.
Yeah. Or I was happy in space looking at the stars, I think.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, no, I thought even the CGI was really well done, and considering it's a perfect...
I thought it looked good when all the fluid was sloshing around inside the eyeball.
The eyeball was done really amazing.
And again, he not in a bad way, but subverted me a little bit because I thought, oh, okay, that's how they're going to kill it, is the armpit thing when he's letting all the other things loose. That's the vulnerable spot. I bet you Harley's got to get the the spear in there. But no, she used it with the eyeball, and I was like, all right, I get it. And then they send in his dumb friends.
The rats.
The rats.
It's good, though, because as dumb as it is, there's payoffs to all the setup throughout this. Like, the spear that she's been given right at the beginning of the movie, it finally has a use. I know she uses it a bit during her escape as well, but this is like, taking down the ultimate villain kind of move. And the rat catcher who... they don't really have much that they can do with the rats. Like that becomes like their big, way of helping to take down Starro as well. It's kind of nicely set up, I suppose.
Well, I like that because it reminded me of Willard.
Love those movies. This is another one that did kind of bother me. You cannot bring up the fact that Idris Elba's character is the guy that damn near killed Superman with a fucking kryptonite bullet and not show it. That kind of pissed me off.
It would be hilarious if they had shown it. If they have got like Henry Cavill back for a cameo, and the cameo is getting shot and like spurting blood in the hospital as they do like emergency surgery, removing a spleen or something.
It'd be great if they did. It'd be great if they had like the Henry Cavill face from like the Whedon cut of Justice League, where his mouth's all fucked up.
Well, that's pain, Clark.
Or better
how
yet,
would you wouldn't even be able to operate on Superman. Like, say you did need to save his life. There's no surgical tools or anything that can penetrate his skin. So.
Yeah, you'd have to dig into the existing hole and try to get it. And if you can't, well, sorry.
You'd have to have like surgical tools of kryptonite that would damage him even more.
Yeah, you have to bolt him down. You'd have to bolt him down to like a metal slab. Then you'd have to get like a come along or a crane to try to pull the thing out of him.
I mean, he's got enhanced healing, I think, so you could theoretically just put him out in the sun, and that like the energy would.
I would imagine it was
to him.
Because then they put him in a coma in the comics for a while. That was the whole thing because he did it in the comic. That's what it's kind of paying homage to. But like again, you can't say that and not show it, even if it's in a jokingly way. Like you said, you can even just have him like fly down. All of a sudden, he just shoots him, and then like you said, you cut to him being in the hospital and they're trying to operate on him. And I imagine it'd be a scene like it was in Superman Returns when they're trying to like stab the needles in his arm and shit, and they keep bending and crap.
Yeah,
yeah. You could have had some fun with it. Yeah, I agree. They should have had Ben playing the rat scene, but only some of us would get it. But anyway, no. Like speaking of other characters, unless you want to talk a little bit more about Starro, there was Ratcatcher too, which I think we talked a little bit about. But no, I thought she was a great character. Didn't overpower the film, and not another. Even though she is kind of the one that saves the day in a way, it's set up very well.
It is.
Yeah.
She's, and she's. I guess she's like the nicest out of the lot. Compared to the rest of them, she's kind of more like innocent and just, she wants to be King Shark's friend, and she wants to try and reach out to Idris Elba and get him to not be afraid of rats anymore. Yeah, she don't
feel like she belongs in the Suicide Squad, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But she's a nice counterpoint to everyone else who, like, they're all just assholes, basically.
Yeah, like I'm not big on rats, but I thought it was very touching, even though they had diseased rats laying all over them, covered with rat fleas and the plague and all that. It's still sweet, I guess.
Yeah, it was a friendly rat. He was like waving and everything. So yeah.
Does that little thing she have? Like, how come the one? This is what I don't get. She's got the one rat that wears the little vest, right? And he's always chilling and doing all these little funny, cute things, right? But she's not waving the magic glowy wand at him.
Because I think it's implying that she trained him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's internalized in him.
All right.
Yeah, she doesn't.
That's how I took it. Yeah,
I'll accept it.
Yeah. That's how
I took it.
Like
a brain dog, and he's just like slightly smarter than average. So yeah, doesn't need it anymore.
He's like Socrates and Ben or in Willard. Sorry, go ahead. Trigger.
Yeah, when we were talking about Starro there as well, I like the bit where you get to go into the what is it called? It's a German word for the big fortress thing.
The Odenheim.
The Jotunheim. It's actually a Norwegian word.
Yeah.
Sorry, Norwegian. I assumed it was Norse built by the Nazis or something during the war.
Yeah, but the Nazis were really fascinated by Norse mythology, so they put a lot of like Norse names and stuff like that. Like just really love the symbology and everything like that of Norse mythology. So it's actually a Norse word, Jotunheim.
Okay.
It's Loki is from Jotunheim.
Yeah.
Right.
Nazis wanted magic.
Yes.
As crazy
but
as that sounds.
I do like the bit where they go down into the basement of the place and you see all the experiments that the Thinker's been doing on like people that have been infected with Starros, you know, the smaller starfish on their faces, and they're like some of them have been cut in half. One of them has like had his face removed and stuff. It's just again really gory but really effective.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really, really effective, really cool, all of it. James Gunn did awesome in this, I think, all in all, although, of course, opinions may vary. And I just lost the super chats that were here on screen, but I'm going to run through a couple of more and goes right back to the classics. RRTNC says for 10 New Zealand dollars, hail Team Edge and the Drinker. Pissed Prince of Film Punditry. TSS equals vast. Oh no, the Suicide Squad is a vast improvement on the 2016 film. Pointless Harley plot and not well paced and edited as Guardians, but plenty of setup and payoff. Cheers. Yeah, I think we can all agree to that. Sandy Q sent us like a beach parasol super sticker. Alexander Wilson says there was barely any character development in this movie. Also, the Harley in general part was weird. Did the movie forget that she was a captive?
I would dispute that there's not character development. Yeah. I think there's good setup and payoff for a lot of these characters, and they have good arcs that they go on. Like I think they're all different people by the end.
Yeah, considering the amount of characters too on top of that, yeah. I think in 2 hours they did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Spider Unlimited says for $4.99, plot hole. They walk Idris through the jail and he's meeting all these other villains. How did they not know they were all locked up together?
Good point.
Unless
he's been kept in solitary or something
exactly,
like that.
Or they're in the solitary, or they're in different wings of the jail. You have like different wings, right? You have like for instance, Chopper. He was an H section of like whatever male he was, prison he was in.
I guess I'm not sure the question. Where was it brought up that they didn't know that each other was there? I'm not sure.
Well, she has to introduce them to each other and explain who they are. So it makes me think that they don't know each other, or they don't know that they've got special abilities.
But basically they can just be.
Well, they didn't get formal introductions when they just met each other. Yeah, they hadn't really meet each other. I don't think.
Exactly.
They don't get to mingle. It didn't seem like they allowed them to mingle.
And also, some of them could have been brought in from other prisons. So I don't think that that's a plot hole necessarily. I mean, not everyone in one prison is going to know everyone else, because we have like different blocks and everything.
Yeah,
you have like high security and minimum security are in the same basic prison facility, but they're never going to interact with each other.
Well, and like I was saying, it doesn't even look like they get like the ability to mingle like you would in a normal prison setting. Considering they're all supervillains, I highly doubt they would allow them to. Even in the first film, they have them all kind of sectioned off. Remember, Harley's inside of a fucking separate room, inside of a fucking cage by herself, and then they got the fire dude in a completely different area, caged off by himself and shit like that. And like Polka Dot Man's stuck in that like machine thing in the inhibitor or whatever it is when he's in his thing. So like a lot of these guys are probably in their cells most of the time.
Exactly. So I don't think that's a plot hole at all. Like they're not going to be wandering around in one big den up all.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Together, shark dude with the polka dot. Like the two of them cannot kill all the other inmates if they wanted to, which of course would solve many problems right there.
But Amanda would know that it wouldn't take nothing for 2 or 3 of them to gang up and get out.
Yeah.
So she would be. Yeah.
No, I did enjoy when they smacked her in the back of the head with a golf club.
I did, but that brings up that big plot hole because you know damn well she wouldn't let those guys walk away scot-free. But
but she don't know who did it, but there would be cameras.
Didn't see it, and I brought that up as a fair point. They just didn't. But they should have. They should have at least shown us like what she did, because you can't just kind of leave it hanging like that. It's kind of like, because a lot of people are misinterpreting it as she just let it go scot-free.
Yeah, but do you think that she knew she was going a little overboard and she fucked up because they did save the day and
I think that's half of it, but I also said, from my recollection, unless somebody corrects me, I don't think the girl that actually hit her is in that last scene, and the rest of them are just kind of like all stiff and like whatever.
Oh yeah, she probably did.
That's what I was thinking.
I also have to point out this great comment from Ben Lunch. If they had King Shark mingling, at least one person would be missing.
At least, if not
Well,
more.
that's the solution to prison overpopulation.
Yeah,
isn't
exactly.
Yeah, because remember they go like, "How much can you eat, man?" And he's like, because he's already ate like 3 dudes or whatever that day.
it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, and
The sharks are bottomless pits, dude.
Not the Black Experience points out King Shark in the Harley cartoon is way better. Yeah, actually, I want to see that cartoon now just for King Shark.
And somebody did point out, though, at least King Shark was a much better kind of like creature character than Killer Croc was in the first movie. So
Killer Croc in the first movie was weak sauce, bro.
Yeah,
My
he was
God, that
barely
was
in there.
awful. Don't
He was
even
pretty boring.
remind me. That's the worst character I've seen.
Killer
one of
Croc
the
is supposed
worst
to
I've
be
seen.
big, like really big.
I felt bad for the actor who was great in the series Oz, like the HBO prison drama. He was fantastic in that one, and go from that to Killer Croc in such an awful interpretation of him. Also,
You know what sucks as an actor though? Like, imagine that you're the guy in the chair getting the makeup put on you, and then they're like, "All right." Then you get up and you look in the mirror and go, "Are you done?" Don't look done.
We were talking the other night, I think it was on Foul Ball's show, like the only thing that the missed opportunity was to have a little bit of fun with Sly and King Shark. Like they could have had a little bit more fun with him. I think you could even had the part where he's like friend and everything like that when they're being like, "You be my friend" and all that stuff, and she'd be like, "Yeah, my name is whatever fuck her name is," because I can't remember her actual name. Ratcatcher 2, and he's like, "Adrian? No, my name is this," and he's like, "Adrian." Like something that would have been funny.
I mean, I like the bit where he's in the aquarium and he's following those jellyfish thing around.
I felt so sorry for him with that.
I knew they were going to be violent.
Yeah.
They made the shape of him because they were measuring to see if they could eat him.
Yeah.
Just like a snake.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they're. I felt so bad for him because he was so happy, he thought they were his friends, and then suddenly they were out of their cage so that they could go and play together, and he was so happy, and then they turned on him and they tried to beat him.
Yeah.
And they actually were able to penetrate his Hulk-like skin to cause.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, that must have been bad.
Yeah, I felt really bad for him there.
Makes you wonder what else was in that place besides Starro and those things.
Yeah, who knows?
Well, you didn't get to find out. But anyhow, I think we got a couple more super chats we can catch up on here quick.
Yeah, we have a couple of more to catch up on here. Then we have Chicago Book says Disney needs to let Gunn do Deadpool 3 hard R. Well,
not a horrible idea.
I think that that would be great. But before that, I think that Sony needs to let them do Venom hard R. That would be something. Disney, I think, is a lost cause at this point in time, but that's just me.
Yeah.
And Mr. Wonderful, he has 2 super chats in a row saying it was okay, but let's be real. Hand the DCEU over to Todd Phillips already. Only Phillips can take it to Nolan levels. And then he continues, give me Todd Phillips Joker 2. Everything else is fluff. Well, I think you might be getting Todd Phillips Joker 2, but I don't think you want him taking over the DC because he has no DC ambitions. He just wanted to do one story, and that story lent itself to the Joker.
Well, and I'm not so sure what's going on with Joker 2. I'm wondering if Joaquin's trying to get out of it. Because I keep hearing rumors that his Joker is not the actual Joker, and they're going to introduce the actual Joker in Joker 2.
I would not want to see a Joker 2. Like, it felt like a complete story, that movie, and I don't really see how you could continue it.
I hope that they don't, because that was not the Joker. I wouldn't leave this guy alone to build a doghouse, let alone rob a bank, okay? He was a thrill killer who put some paint on his face.
Yeah, but then if you're going to make a continuation of that, you're going to have to do something with his character. You can't just have him, die in the first 30 seconds and then someone else takes over the movie. That would just be...
That's what I'm afraid of.
Be odd.
Yeah,
I
it would
don't
be a
think he's going
waste.
to die. I think that's exactly what's going to happen, apart from him dying in the first 30 seconds. I think it's going to be him meeting up with someone and dying towards the end of it or something like that. But they said that they were going to take inspiration from the Three Jokers storyline. And if it's still Todd Phillips and he takes inspiration from the Three Jokers, honestly, I would be excited about it. I'd be excited to see where they go.
I know Todd's on board. I know it's happening, but the thing is, I keep hearing resistance from Joaquin's side of things. But I'm sure they'll pay
because
him
he
enough
wants to
in
be
it.
the real Joker.
Well, and
Yeah,
that's
of
what
course he does.
And that's the thing. I don't know what's going on, so we'll see.
I mean,
on
this
that.
is like one of the things when the first started coming out. Like, well, maybe this isn't the real Joker. Maybe this is the guy that inspires the real Joker. To which he said in public, not with these exact words, I'm paraphrasing, but what he essentially said was, "Fuck that shit. I'm the real Joker." So yeah, he's going to be difficult to get aboard for that, if anything. But it's just a matter of bringing one extra truckload of cash to his house. Everyone has a price, even him.
Oh, I'm sure. But anyhow, moving on with super chats.
Yes, moving on with the super chats. Night King 01 said for $4.99, Bloodsport was less psychotic than his OG comic where he shot Superman. He lured Superman out by literally gunning down random people. I'm not familiar with these characters outside of the movie, so maybe that is part of why I like.
I'm going to posit something here. I would not be surprised if we find out at some point that Bloodsport's character was just Deadshot rewritten since Will Smith didn't want to come back.
Oh,
well, obviously.
Yeah,
I would not be surprised in the least.
I would take that completely for granted.
Okay, I didn't hear half of what either way. I heard
Okay,
what you said,
Jesse,
Andre, but
Jesse,
Jesse,
you
go
go
ahead.
first.
Sorry.
No, my son actually called him Deadshot while we were watching the movie. I had to remind him it's Bloodsport. Yeah, same character.
Yeah.
I will say his mask is cooler, though.
Absolutely. Oh, I like this character
Definitely.
better. I mean, acting wise, I'm not going to get into it. Like Will Smith or Idris Elba, they're two different actors on many different levels. But as far as what they did here, it felt kind of like, it felt like it was a bait and switch, not a bait and switch, but like, okay, we can't get him. So what do? Oh, we get this character who's similar. We just rewrite him a little bit and cast Idris Elba. Because remember when they casted Idris Elba, he was like some super secret character. Nobody knew who he was. Like, and that just was like, okay.
So I would take that completely for granted that he was written as a replacement Will Smith and replacement Deadshot. Because it's practically the same character, isn't it? Only better and cooler.
That's what I'm saying. Same exact plot. You know, he's got a daughter and all that shit. Like, it's all. The only difference is, it's. So I would not be surprised if we hear that at some point lately. Oh yeah, he was meant to be in it, but.
Yeah, I don't think we'll hear it, but it's just obvious to me.
Well, considering they say as much shit as they have about the Marvel movies, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we've already heard that all the different stuff that was supposed to happen with Black Widow. So, and not only that in the TV shows, but we'll see. Anyway,
yeah. And then we have Non-Vita Rex says for $5. How big an issue is it that no superheroes show up to help with Starro at the end? Also, RC2, why didn't they use her, or Ratcatcher 2, why didn't they use her ultimate move more?
I mean, to answer the first question, like Superman's in the ICU apparently, so he couldn't show up. And everyone else, like, I guess there just wasn't time for them to get there. Like, this all happened in the space of a few minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure Waller kept it under wraps as much as she could, too.
Yeah,
well, it was on the news, so I guess someone saw it.
But actually, they made a point of that. That Starro here, he wasn't a threat to the world. He was a threat only to that island. And the point where they knocked her out was basically when, or like her own staff, where they knocked her out, was when she said, "Okay, you've secured the data. Fine, then you are going home, and
she's
you
like,
will
not
let
our problem.
You will let Starro to it, and if he destroys the entire island and kills any potential witness, then so much the better." That's what she said. And so I think they were very, very happy to leave Starro right where he was, to destroy everything. And if he later got any ambitions of going anywhere else, they deal with him at that time. But prior to that, no one else showed up because no one else knew. It wasn't a global threat or anything. It's just a local one. That's the reason. I don't see it as a plot hole, a problem, or anything like that. Can't expect everyone to show up in that first second. I mean, it was a bigger issue in the first Suicide Squad movie when you had like the belly dancing chick taking over New York or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, she was like full on like, I'm going to destroy the world, wasn't she? Because
yeah, exactly. That was much worse. And what did you have? You had the Boomerang or whatever, like that guy. He who did nothing was there with his baseball bat and Boomerang, and was just there along for the ride. Well, how the hell did they sort it out again?
Yeah, the script doctor's right here as well. You didn't find out about this until afterwards.
Yeah, because they show the daughter, and that's after everything's done and over with. I was just going to thinking that too.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I think she kept it pretty well under wraps while it was going on anyway, because that was her whole thing. But no, like that was my only gripe too, is they should have just showed what she did afterwards as far as her staff, and outside of that, I mean, yeah, it was a pretty kind of shitty death for Starro, and considering how he just wanted to see the stars. You know, it's like, oh, that's too bad. But I don't know. I thought the whole thing was pretty cool. And I mean, now, did you think that the only reason she was able to cut through Starro's eyes because the spear was made of like something like, handed down by like a god or some shit like that? He said,
yes. Well, yeah, because there's times when he's getting shot with bullets and they can't penetrate it. So yeah, there's something about that spear that's like super powerful or something, and it allows her to penetrate.
That's obviously. I mean, because I don't know. I don't know the character. I don't know the spear, but I got that there's obviously something very, very freaking special about that spear. It's not just. I mean, if it was just a random guy in a suit with a random metal spear, he wouldn't be in the Suicide Squad. Every single person there has some kind of ability, and this person's ability obviously was to wield the super duper magical spear.
I love how she just dives right into it as well.
Oh, that was glorious.
What she figured out after that, there's no plan.
Yeah.
I did like
women around inside the eye with like peaceful music playing.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I like that you saw the one little rat wearing the vest swimming. I was worried about him. I was like, don't make him drown.
Well, I figured he'd either stay by Ratcatcher 2 or, you know, they do something like that to where, you figure that he'd be. I knew they wouldn't.
They show that he made it.
I figured.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just doing some super chats we can bring up here. Mr. Wonderful says, Phoenix has publicly said he is the Joker. To see him fully grow into that role off his meds is enticing. Yeah, problem is, I don't know that the rest of the writers and even directors sees him that way. I think they see him as like the poor first attempt.
I mean, the timelines don't line up properly. He's going to be too old. You know, he's not well positioned to be the Joker. Not like long term anyway.
Oh, he most certainly is not. But with that, Drinker, I get that you have to bounce.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to have to sign off, guys. I got a few other things I got to do, but it's been good to chat about this movie with you. It seems to be a real mixed bag. Like looking at the comments in chat, like some people really liked it, other people hated it. So
yeah, no, I absolutely get that. I think it's going to be. This is one that's going to be mixed, and it certainly didn't blow up the box office. Although I think there are many reasons for that. But I don't think that this one is going to be like. When it wins everyone over, far from it.
I will say this about the Joker thing too, since you guys were just talking about it, Drinker. Like, this is a good point because Affleck isn't real young either, and I know Jared Leto is pretty close to Affleck's age, but he seems so much younger and he seems like so off as the Joker. I would be very, very happy if they just said, "Oh, by the way, that's Jason Todd. That's not the actual Joker. This is the actual Joker."
I'd be ecstatic if they did that.
Exactly, because that's what I was hoping from the start, is that at some point they would. My actual wish was that we would find out there would be another Joker and it'd be like Willem Dafoe or something like that. But then when he got cast in Aquaman, that was squashed. But it was like, oh, okay, because I wanted.
Oh, there's still plenty others.
Yeah, I wanted
it would be
an older
great
Joker.
if Joaquin Phoenix is the first, and Jared Leto is the third, the Jason Todd or something like that, and then you have the as yet to be cast real Joker, the Joker of the 90s and 2000s.
I would be okay with that. I don't know about Drinker and Jesse, but yeah.
Why they gotta be so many Jokers? There's one Joker. He's a crazy guy. Quit stealing the bit.
Well, you can blame the comics because they're introduced the concept of the three Jokers.
I think you get that a lot with comics that run for a long time, though. Like, different characters end up taking up the mantle of a superhero when one gets killed or retires or whatever. And yeah, it just becomes weird after a while, I think.
Yeah, but nowadays in the movies, it feels more like here's 3 chances to try to get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's strike out on all of them.
The DC on film is just a complete clusterfuck. Like, It's a mess of different time periods, different universes, different actors. I don't know what they're going to do to sort it out.
Well, I know what they should do, but
I wouldn't be against this either. With the Vegster Good Day says, get Jim Carrey to do the older Joker. Hell yeah. He was basically playing the Joker as the Riddler anyway, so.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that. But Drinker, I want to say thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you on. And the link to your channel, as if someone in our chat didn't know how to find you, but it's in the description. So yeah, thanks for joining us, and we have to have you on the morning show before too long here.
Yeah, I'll try to get back on sometime. But yeah, thanks for having me on today. It's been good fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
right. Take care, my friends.
All right, I'm going to go now.
And with that, we have a couple of more super chats. Mr. Berger says, I love Midnight's Edge. James Gunn is a pedo apologist, lest we forget. He made a semi-entertaining comic book movie, so all is forgiven, I guess.
I don't know if I'd call him that.
Well, he is a little odd.
He is a little bit odd. And
then there was the whole thing with that girlfriend that he liked to stuff into things and he hit her or something.
I don't know about
that. There's a big thing going around about
I don't know how true that is either, because a lot of the other stuff they were taking pictures from was from like some German fucking music video or some shit too. So again, I have not seen any proof. There hasn't been any accusations outside of him making some very off-colored jokes. I that's all I can say. Unless somebody comes out and says otherwise, I don't see any reason.
I will say that the recently the worst thing that he has done is he has made some very anti-fan sentiments, and he has come out a little bit
shit
too much in defense of the cancellation of Gina Carano and stuff like that. So again, just like with John Cena, I do wish that our stars and our filmmakers stuff would just kindly shut the hell up and just be entertainers and keep all your other opinions. That's going to make it more difficult to value things that you make to yourself. But here's like the thing, though, that if one were to assess everything that everyone does personally, especially now in the age of Twitter, where stars and producers and directors regrettably won't shut the hell up, you can't see freaking anything. Because let's face it, everyone is a weirdo and a nutcase or a commie or something.
Hollywood is just all piranhas.
Almost every single one working in the creative fields, either they genuinely are that way, or as Joe Rogan points out, it's not possible that so many really feel that way. They're just faking it to be with the club. But the end result is the same. They express attitudes and stuff like that to the vast majority of ordinary thinking people make them really unlikable. And at some point, I think you just
Yeah.
have to try to separate the art from the artist. And so I know with myself, I can't do it. Like with, for instance, Patrick Stewart. He has killed Star Trek: The Next Generation for me. I can't watch it. I'm going to ditch it from my shelf because he's just polluted it for me. Him and Picard. But still, you got to try. Otherwise, there's nothing left.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing. Is in most cases, I just try to separate everything I can from the artist, unless it's something that's super, super bad. Like somebody brought up in the chat, and I agree. Like the guy from the director from Jeepers Creepers, who was convicted and all that shit. Like I cannot watch those movies. Like no, like that's kind of thing where I don't agree with that. Whatever, he can go work somewhere else. He should not be in Hollywood, where that kind of activity goes on too rampantly anyway. And then the other side of it is like, yeah, you just, if it's other stupid shit, if you're in a public eye, you just need to quit talking about your politics and your religion and shit. Those are two areas you should just leave alone. Like
I missed the days before social media when we could just admire the art without knowing what kind of nutcases the artist really was.
Oh, I know, because a lot of them were crazy. Like Alfred Hitchcock, that boy wasn't right.
Oh yeah, no, he certainly was.
Well, I think
you ever hear the thing with him masturbating in the coffin?
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah, like I heard about it.
I wouldn't be surprised if it is true.
I wouldn't be surprised.
He wasn't a ladies' man, let's say that, and he apparently did like to take his frustrations out on his female cast members. So but anyway, point is, do we forgive James Gunn for his trespasses? No, I certainly haven't forgiven him for anything. But here's like the thing: I choose to try not to think about it, because otherwise, in the end, you won't be able to see anything. Like you can't see Star Wars because Mark Hamill is nuts. He's deranged. You can't see Star Trek because half the people, or more than half of everyone on screen, judging by their social media comments, are all deranged. Forget about Marvel; they're all deranged.
Yeah, for the most part.
And you know what, James Gunn? It's like, I'll watch the movie, but I wouldn't leave my kid with him.
Well, that's totally fair. Like, I can't blame anybody for that. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and call somebody that word without any kind of at least accusations. And there hasn't been one. So,
yeah. No, that's true. There have been no accusations, but he did invite them by walking right into it. To be fair, he did it before cancel culture, but still, it was honestly, bad and untasteful.
I'm not so pissed about that shit. It's like I can forgive somebody for some stupid bad jokes.
I'm more pissed about his recent comments.
Is the fact that he faced cancel culture head on, and the motherfuckers out there talking shit about it. It's like, dude, you're the last person who should be saying shit at all.
Exactly.
You should just be sitting there fucking twiddling your thumbs.
To me, that is worse, almost. Just that double standard.
To me, that's where the hypocritical level goes way off the charts. That's my problem there.
Yeah.
You want to put yourself in a stupid position by making stupid jokes and comments. That's your own thing. Like, I had enough of that when it was happening. Cause it's one thing. It's like, okay, to judge it as a bad joke, that's fine, because you can't say that about him without any accusations, or you could say that about plenty of people, including yourself, probably, because I'm sure you laughed at plenty of jokes and things like South Park and Family Guy and Airplane that before you stopped and realized, oh shit, that was a pedophile joke. But it was done well enough that you didn't think about it. The difference here is that James Gunn made some stupid fucking jokes, right? And without context, in some cases, a lot of them didn't come off correctly. I can understand that.
It's because it's way too edgelordy.
It is. Well, and I mean, I went through a lot of them, and there were some accusations made on them. Like, no, if you click on the actual things, you can see what the joke's all about and follow the chain of events. It's stupid. It's all stupid.
And now, what did the X's say?
And what?
What did the X's say?
As far as I know, I've never heard of any of his
I've never heard any actual accusations of anything against him.
Then it's probably just him being a dummy.
He was married at the times of all the shit happening, so.
Because there's never been to my awareness, there's never been any real accusations against him of any kind.
And let's be real, if anybody was going to, it was going to be at that time.
Yeah. If anyone had anything to come for it, that would have been the time, and it didn't happen. So probably it isn't. And that just means that he's a deranged fool and a lunatic, which is something that the later comments seem to suggest. But he hasn't actually done anything physically.
I mean, there's all those guys over at Troma have that kind of weird sense of humor anyway, and that's the thing. I'm not trying to say that's an excuse, but I can see where it comes from. Like, again, that's not my problem so much as him chiming in on the cancel culture thing, but we've already talked about this longer than we needed to.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move on from there. Aaron Rodgers says, would have been a great way to introduce the Martian or Lantern, but they wanted Harley to be the hero for some reason, even though she's a psycho.
Well, there's a reason for that, Aaron.
More like it.
And that's because, and it has less to do with anything other than she sells most of the merchandise. Like Harley Quinn and Joker sell a shit ton of merchandise. Like, other than maybe Batman, I'd say that they may even outsell Batman. I'm not sure on that. I'd have to look.
Everybody loves the Joker because there's a million Jokers and there's a Joker for you.
Well, that's just it. The Joker is one of the most popular characters ever, because that's what I remember when the first original Batman came out in '89, was they could not keep the Joker stuff stocked. Like that, that made Jack Nicholson giddy because he got a piece of that shit.
Oh yeah.
I've seen an interview where he was talking about that. He's like, I was so excited because they couldn't keep the Joker stuff in stock. It was crazy. You know, he's just good, like a little kid in a candy store talking about it because he loved that shit. He loved it all. He loved being the Joker. He's got the one of the few in existence Batman arcade games from that time too, because they never got it to market, but he's got one because he had to sign off on it. So he has it in his house still, but he loves it and still plays it, I guess. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing is anyway, go on.
Yeah, moving on.
I think it's because she's more sellable than those characters. That's one of the main reasons.
I think it's as simple as that. And then Bama Grad says for $5, the best line in the entire movie was the reply by the Thinker. I think I saw a twinkle in Capaldi's eyes as he delivered it.
Yeah, he was great in this. I mean, underutilized other than that. But what do you think, Jesse? I thought he was all right.
No, I thought he was very good in this. He actually, of all things, he reminded me of that guy, what was it, McDonald from Kids in the Hall.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then Salad Cream Boy says for £5, so DC can have Stallone after Guardians 2, but they contract actors saying they can't do a Marvel movie. If they're in a DC movie, is that right? Well, here's the thing: both have contracts like that, but it's only for leads.
I was going to say
lead roles, so you can, and it's only for a certain time frame. And this is like a standard thing. Like, for instance, the same thing in business and banking. Like, for instance, if I were to quit my job or anyone else in banking, can't go and work for a competitor or direct competitor for so and so many years if that's in the contract. So this actually happens. However, that only happens for the big leads.
I was going to say,
for those that just are secondary characters.
And maybe even for some of the directors.
Wasn't even a secondary character in Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2.
Hasn't there been a few others already that have been in both? I'm trying to think, but
yeah, well, there's obviously Ryan Reynolds and stuff,
and a few minor ones, but
but at the time he wasn't going to come back to DC anytime soon anyway, and that was with Fox, and the contract was with Fox and not with Marvel.
5 years out or whatever, anyhow.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like a rock solid thing. Like, it's not like a forever thing, and it didn't apply to Stallone in any event. Mr. Wonderful says Phoenix. Oh, we got this one already.
While you're looking for the next one, commenting is dangerous is now a member. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it.
Oh, awesome. Welcome. Yes. And then the Historian sent us $4.99, but the message was deleted. So thanks for the support in either event. Mr. Wonderful says 1 billion Phoenix Jokers say different. Yeah, well, unfortunately, that 1 billion doesn't overrule executives at the studio or the director. And Wintrell says for $5, watched it twice. Not bad. You can tell segments pulled from the movie. Don't be surprised if an extended cut. You can read the tea leaves on this one. And Gladiator also sent us $1.99 with another message deleted. Did he delete it or did you do that? I don't know.
Hard to say.
And then Non-Vita Rex said, sure, Waller was fine leaving Starro alone, but what was stopping Shazam or Wonder Woman from flying there to help? Well, yeah, as we covered, this all took place within a span of minutes.
Well, not just that. I wanted to bring that up earlier. That is a valid criticism, right? And that
is it?
That is the problem. Well, let me finish real quick. That is the problem that you bring in when you have a situation where you have one of these huge universes that's starting to collapse in on itself, where you have so many damn characters, where it is a logical question to go, yeah, where is Superman or Shazam or the Flash, somebody who could get there fast enough? That is a logical question, and unless you generally you just
that's not how comic books work.
I was just gonna say though, that's how they've found a way out of it in the comic books, is you just kind of ignore it in certain aspects.
Why doesn't Superman just show up in every movie?
That's
he gets there in 5 seconds.
So
you think you can't kill the Joker?
You just kind of gotta go, he's busy doing something else in your mind. That's what you kind of got to do after a while. Certain things like that. It's the suspension of disbelief kind of thing. That's the best thing I can do with it. Because like I said, yeah, it's that's the one problem you have with one of these huge universes where you have such overpowered characters, especially when you start expanding into gods and other shit like that. It gets like
when you go cosmic with it, it's always hard.
You kind of just got to give that suspension of disbelief where it's just like, well, whatever, they're busy. That's the best you can do. I get it. I understand that kind of argument. That's why I just got to give them. I got to validate that.
Though, is that this all went down within the span of minutes.
Agreed,
and it's a local threat, not a worldwide threat. And I do not think that either Wonder Woman or Shazam have the kind of senses where they can detect that, oh, there's a kaiju doing local problem at this place at the other side of the world right now.
Yeah,
and then they can be there within 2 minutes after that.
They could have established
they have that kind of thing. So it's, to me, it's really that simple. It's not a global threat, and outside of Cape Verde or wherever it was, where what was the place of this? The name of this place?
Corto Maltese.
Corto Maltese. Apart from that, no one outside of Corto Maltese knows as it happens, and none of the heroes have the kind of extrasensory perception necessary that they can detect it even. So, yeah, I don't think that's a big deal at all.
No, but I don't think it's above the realm to be arguing that, like, considering Starro is technically an alien entity, like maybe a Green Lantern wouldn't have got.
Yeah, but no one knows about it. Even
I get it.
They have to know it first.
Again,
they don't know he's there.
See, like Aaron Rodgers just brought up as I brought it up. Yeah, the entire Lantern Corps was busy. LOL. Well, it is a big universe after all, and Starro is just one alien. Yeah, you just gotta
literally. There's one Green Lantern watching how many galaxies and stuff.
You gotta kind of just let it go after a while. Like, I get it. It's a valid argument, but it's a superhero thing to where it's just one of those things. It's like the unwritten rules.
I'm sure if Starro had continued and he had taken over that island and he'd gone on to the next continent and taken that too, eventually Shazam and Wonder Woman would have gotten involved. And if they couldn't handle it and he had taken over the entire planet, I'm sure the Green Lanterns at some point would have noticed when they stopped by for their routine checks. but in the 10 minutes where this all went down, I don't think there was time.
No, I agree. And you also, like I said, I think Waller kept it pretty well under wraps for the most part till it got out there, because, she was just like kind of in control of the whole situation. So anyway, moving on.
Yes, moving on. And then let's see what we have here. Nelson Toretta says for $5, LeBron James was once told to shut up and dribble. Entertainers can still express their opinions. They just also don't get freedom from consequences. And yeah, this goes back to what we said before, but what are we to do? Like, I'm not a fan, and I do not defend James Gunn, the person. I absolutely do not. And I will not defend anything that he has said. On the contrary, I find him and most of Hollywood to be deplorable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, then we can shut down the channel and just...
Yeah, I was thinking that myself. Everybody in Hollywood's a commie, so if you don't want us to talk about movies at all, it's just like moving on.
Yeah. Well, I was just
Who is your favorite wrestler?
You're more than you're more within your rights to boycott any movie.
You are if you want to surf shark this instead of like giving money to it, when we don't necessarily condone that, but we're not going to tell you otherwise.
No, yeah, that's your prerogative, But yeah. Again, you got to also remember most of the general population doesn't give a shit who directs a movie. They still think George Lucas, if they even know who George Lucas is, directs Star Wars. Hell, I know people who think that Steven Spielberg directed the Star Wars movies. That's how, like, the general public don't know. They know 3 directors. You know what I mean? They don't know what a director really does. They don't even think
they direct.
They don't understand what that means, though, Jesse. Like, I'm saying, like, you got to understand, like, most of the people that go see these movies, they give 2 fucks about, like, most people didn't even know who Gina Carano was until she was technically fired. Like, I finally had a lot of my general population friends or normies, I hate calling them normies, but, come up to me like, what's this whole thing about this lady getting fired from the Star Wars? What did she do? It's like, oh, now you guys are hearing about it. It's like, this is shit we've been on top of for months, but that's what I'm saying. It's like normal people outside of our community don't give a shit. They don't care about who directs something, who wrote something, who does the music, who the stars are most of the time. They know who Will Smith is. It's like, most of them probably didn't know who the fuck Idris Elba is. They're probably sitting there going, where's Will Smith? And they probably thought he was playing Will Smith's character.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. I actually ran into people, who didn't even know that the Marvel Universe, which was already at that point 7 or 8 movies deep, maybe even 10 movies deep, had existed. They just liked the Thor movies. And I'm like, I asked somebody about something about Thor when they were renting, or the Avengers when they were renting Thor, the Dark World or something like that. And they're like, oh, I didn't know there was a movie between this. I'm like, oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. And I had to basically introduce them to the idea that there's this whole other universe around these movies because they just liked Thor. They didn't care about the other shit. I was like, there are people like that out there.
You mean these are connected?
Exactly. That's what she said. She's like, you mean there's more? I'm like, yeah, he's even in this one. And I had to point.
See, look at the back there's a back of the box.
Well, this was at a grocery store, so they had them on these little tags, right? But again, like I said, normies don't know this shit, right? We forget that a lot of the time.
Honestly, I wonder what normies think about all day long. I honestly do, because it's like, what could they possibly be thinking about? What is normal shit? Because I have to think about the normal shit they have to think about, but I think about a whole bunch of other stuff too.
Have you seen okay, first of all, go see what normie people watch a lot of your times. Go see what your friends who are like married, who you don't hang out with often and talk like this kind of nerd shit with, watch. And it's like reality shows and Dancing with the Stars.
I'd sooner throw myself off of a building.
They're not up to speed with half the shit. They don't know. They don't care. They just go to see a movie. Like, they see this movie. I guarantee most of the people that see this, they're just going to freak out because of all the violence. They're going to be, well, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. I'm still wondering when the hell Iron Man is going to show up.
Exactly. Anyway, Andre on with the super chat. Sorry for the rant.
Yeah, I'm just going to refresh here because I think we might be reasonably close to
I think there's a couple more left we had, but
yeah, we have a couple of more left. Then we have Aaron Rodgers, who says for $5. Yeah, the entire we got that one. Mr. Wonderful said Joker may be the last billion movie ever. More. I don't think ever is just a matter of inflation to catch up, and at the rate that you're going right now is not going to be too long. But yeah, I don't want to get into let's not get into that too much. But just give it time. Give it time. And when the dollar is sufficiently devalued, you're going to have another $1 billion movie. Retrospawn says for £5 British, I thought Superman was out of the picture because Idris Elba had shot him with a kryptonite arrow. And wasn't Waller keeping it all under wraps? Yeah, but we don't know that he was out of the picture, and like even he's going to take like no time for him to prioritize that, even if he is reasonably recovered from being shot. So
yeah, how long does it take for Superman to heal?
Well, it depends on how serious the injury. I mean, if he had to like remove a spleen or something, I think I heard something to that effect, that you have to like remove some internal organ or something. It might take him longer, but
just go stick him in the sun for a while.
Yeah. And Dash D says for $10 Batman had his own satellites and computers. The Justice League found their targets through that, and of course the Watchtower. Oh, and Jesse, Manu Bennett would be a good Wolverine.
Okay, I gotta see if this. Gotta look.
That's from me because he hates Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. It's a long story.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's a long going thing. We got a picture from our buddy.
Well,
Douglas
Matt
Nelson.
Kadish's
Kadish.
Matt Kadish.
I can't say his fucking name. I'm sorry. It's hard for me. But anyway, his choice for Wolverine was great.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy he said, but this is probably not too far off here. I don't think. Douglas sent us this. Our buddy Douglas Nelson.
I'd see that.
Yeah, I can imagine that's what's going to be.
I'd see that, but yeah, well, we'll see how that turns out. And with that, we are actually fully caught up.
Well, I know there was one other thing I wanted to cover about this before we move on for the day. James Gunn had hinted that he was done with superhero movies. Done. Well, I seen another story today that's saying otherwise. Like I think it's even hinting that he may be on board for possibly the third Suicide Squad movie, but I don't know if that'll happen with the box office. Let's talk about that a little bit. How bad do we think that the box office was hurt by the way they did this? And not only that, do we think we'll get another one after this because of this?
I think that depends entirely on how much they can get away with blaming the Delta.
That's what it seems like they're up to.
Yeah. And how do the rest of if it's like if every other movie is also underperforming, then that has merit. But if you have other movies that are doing okay, it's going to be more difficult to sell that.
Well, everything's done shit for the last couple of weeks, but they've also been movies that have been available for free pretty much since Space Jam. I don't know. So that's kind of... I mean, and then there is the rumor. Well, part of it isn't a rumor. Venom has already been delayed a couple weeks in a few areas, including Australia. But that was the other thing I kind of heard a rumbling about, but I didn't take seriously at first. Was I don't know if you heard anything about this, Andre, but Spider-Man possibly getting delayed because of this shit.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Because they're talking about maybe Venom getting delayed and then Spider-Man and Morbius also all down the line getting delayed again.
Again, would not be surprised at everything being delayed.
Now, Jesse, I know you don't really, have much insight as far as the inside knowledge on this, but would you see that as a possibility with the whole Delta thing going on?
Well, they're going to try to bump back whatever they can, dude.
Well, I think that'll affect Ghostbusters as well.
They're looking to try to go more towards what we were doing last year, and I don't think people are going to be having it. So I think it's going to be a big wave up to nothing, really, hopefully. Otherwise, they'll just screw everybody over again and destroy many more industries, whatever. Either way.
Well,
it's
that
an economy.
aside,
We should have one.
I don't know. I think we'll see here. If we start seeing a bunch of movies get delayed again, then we know what the fuck's up. But
yeah, it's a holding pattern. It's a wait and see to see if the people in power want to do something really stupid or just semi-stupid.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure, because everybody's like, where's the Spider-Man trailer? Where's the Spider-Man trailer? Where's the Spider-Man trailer? And I heard it would probably come with Venom too.
But do people really ask so much for that?
You would be surprised.
The
I get asked
normies
what's
are
the
really
mayor-
looking forward to Spider-Man.
Well, no, not just in general, but like all the guys in our community, and I don't blame them. I mean, they're curious where it's at, and I mean, I have to tell people because they don't catch every show, but I do get asked on a daily basis, at least no less than 3 times, if I know I've heard anything about the Spider-Man trailer. Where's the Spider-Man trailer? And it's not just that. It's before this, it was Ghostbusters until we got that. It's just, what can I tell them? You know, we're in the middle of this situation right now where the studios are not going to spend the money that they normally do on advertising, and they've been dropping the trailers about a month out, it seems like, or like the final trailer a month out, and then the teaser trailer is about 2 months out, if that. Before all this happened, there was already a deal that was coming to effect that I had to tell people about because people were asking about like the Star Wars trailer and certain other ones. And there's always been this deal that they never really paid attention to or held themselves to. And that was that they were not allowed or shouldn't be allowed to release any major advertising, including trailers for movies, more than 4 months out, 6 months at the most, outside of one exception a year. And that was what the studios had agreed to do just before everything got locked down, because the whole rule was kind of brought in because movies, back 20, 30 years ago, more like 30 years ago, they only had, half or a third of the movies we get released in a year than we do now in theaters. Now that's like quadrupled or doubled, at least tripled, if not. I know I'm throwing a lot of out there, but I can't remember the exact numbers offhand. But I know it's quite a bit more than what it used to be, So like that was the reason why it was put in effect, because people were getting just bombarded with trailers and not knowing when shit was coming out. So again, we'll see how this goes in the next few weeks. I'm kind of scared that that's what's going to happen, is everything's going to get shut down again too. But I don't want to talk about that too much. I don't know, Andre. What do you think this is going to do for the box office? I don't think this is going to look good for the box office. It didn't do 30 million.
I think it's done already, because here's like the thing that combine the fact that you now have like this narrative that if you go outside, you're gonna be killed, basically, and the movie being on HBO Max, and what could have saved the box office a little bit was Thursday, when they had the Thursday previews, but then amazingly they dropped it earlier on HBO Max as well to correspond. So there's absolutely no benefit to that earlier release whatsoever. Yeah, it's done at the box office. I mean, it's earned most of its money already. So it's going to be a huge flop box office wise. And HBO Max, I think, is a bigger part of that than anything else, probably.
Yeah, and that really sucks, because I like the movie, and I think it deserves to do better than it is. So that's bad. And sad news to come across. Marky Post, actress most well known for Night Court, has passed away at 70. So there you go. There's been a couple of
terrible. She was cute.
Yeah. Which sucks, because they were just revamping that show. Wonder if she was going to be a part of it. It's too bad. Well, thanks for the news, Dash Deece, even though it was sad to hear. And I believe we're caught up on Super Chats otherwise, are we not?
I think we are. I'm going to do a final recheck here, but I think we are. Let us see. No, we are not quite. Dash D sent us another one, and he says, whoa, Marky Post passed away. Oh, yeah, this is the one. Yeah, you got that one, didn't you?
Yep, we just covered it.
And beyond that, no, we don't have anyone else. So with that, we are...
I think Andre's brain is on delay today. But
no, I just had to chew.
But earlier you talked about that one scene right after we just got done talking.
Yeah, but that's because I had to drop out of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes a man got to take a piss.
I was gonna say, I'm like, they were just talking about the scene. It's like repeated.
Let's see if I missed one. MJ One Media says I might have missed one.
Yeah, I think you might have missed one if he sent one.
Well, I'm checking here right now. See if there's anything from MJ One Media.
I love Megan Jetty. He's one of the best people.
MJ1 Media said, subverting expectations isn't meant to be bad. Rian Johnson just made it that way. There have been great examples of subversion that have been done. I am your father.
Well, that's not really subversion of expectations, because see, subversion in and of itself, the word
Subversion is negative always.
is negative. Now, a twist or surprising your audience, that's a different way of looking at it. But now, the reason it was brought up, though, you're right. Rian Johnson is where that term came into the film vernacular in a way that was never meant to be, I guess, before, or however you want to put it. So again, it's a term that I don't like to use, and actually brought that up earlier. Andre said the same thing. You know, it's a term we don't like to use because
it's a term that's basically used in spyfare and stuff like that in terms of manipulation of people, and it's always done with a hostile intent.
Yeah, it's like lying to your kid and say, "Get in the car, we're going to Disney World." Then you show up at the dentist office.
Yeah, that's one way of doing it. Yeah. So exactly, as the doctor says, subvert expectation does not equal welcome surprise.
And then underneath that would be and then underneath that the example would be what Jesse just said.
Yeah, exactly. So to subvert, actually, it's a negative word. It means that you are going in with the intent of destroying.
Exactly. Yes, that's it. Yeah. Dash D then says, "He Andre's sneaking out for poo break. It's official. He no longer full of it." I don't know if anybody ever said he was full of shit.
It's more like sneaking out, dealing with
at least not in the
like
chat
that,
here.
but yeah,
I think that Andre should get a leather suit.
Oh Jesus! You need a pee and a poop bucket. That's the trick.
You know, like something that's almost like medium armor, like heavy leathers, but in a suit. I think that would look cool.
But I think will be interesting to see how this helps HBO Max overall.
It's probably going to do great for them. I would imagine
they've been doing pretty good. And then that's what I was curious about: is if the low box office is a sign of that. Is it more so people stayed at home and watched it? It seems like a lot of people have seen it.
Oh yeah. Right? I think it's a huge hit for HBO Max. It's just theatrically. But again, they basically wrote off all theatrical revenue the moment that they went all in on HBO Max. And also, I think there's one super chat I'm unsure if we got before. Spider Unlimited said for $9.99. My favorite part, the rescue of Rick Flag and finding out it was a mistake, had me cracking. Yeah, that was one of the best.
No, I think we missed that one. So good catch on that. So
yeah, yeah, it was right next to the other one. So I think we missed those two there.
And then Mr. Tickle Trunk sent us a couple super stickers. He sent us a pooper sticker, and then he sent us a director's chair. So thank you so much for that, Mr. Tickle Trunk. You are a wrench. You shouldn't be doing that, but thank you for that. And then Mr. Wonderful. This is a movie that Jesse's actually seen. And he's not totally wrong here. Mr. Wonderful says, with a $2 Australian super chat, Pig was actual subversion. Great movie. That's the thing. I think you're right there, because they advertised that movie as like a John Wick movie, but it wasn't. But luckily, though, as I've heard from most people, including you, Jesse, it wasn't that bad. It was pretty good.
No, it was kind of set up as a a revenge film, but it totally wasn't. It was just at the end of it, I don't know how this guy keeps going.
Yeah, because I heard it was more about loss. I haven't seen it yet, but yeah. So like the whole setup is not nearly what it is like in the movie, but that isn't to say go see it, or see it if you can get a chance to see it, kind of thing. So, but that is kind of a good point there. I think that was a bit of a subversion, because they were baiting and switching you with the trailer. That's for sure.
Yeah, they did.
But they're just lucky the movie's probably good. Mr. Tickle Trink then also says, I do what I want. Okay, Cartman. And then they use that damn... did you watch the trailer for not Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks?
No.
Oh, God. She actually says that line like Cartman in there. That's what reminded me of that. I'm like, ugh. I do what I want. It's like, Cartman said that 10, 15 years ago. It's cringe as shit. Anyway, I'm not looking forward to that, so please don't make me watch it. And with that, I think we're going to wrap things up. I think we did a pretty good job today getting through this movie. I enjoyed it. Hopefully it did well for HBO Max, because otherwise I don't think it's got much of a chance. I think that we all kind of agree on that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
HBO Max combined with like other stuff killed it in theaters. So let's hope it performed well for them. And
I want to thank Critical Drinker for hanging out with us today. It's always a pleasure to get to talk to him. He's a busy man, so we never get a lot of opportunities to do so. But when we do, it's a blast. And yeah, people are asking for the Discord link already. I don't know how to use this damn thing, but
It's super easy, dude. Discord is just rooms, okay?
okay, which one is which here? Okay, the first one is okay. The second one's okay.
Yeah, I labeled one community and one HQ just for organizational purposes.
Gotcha. And I don't know how to use this crap, but there you go, folks. I guess we have.
It's just like posting anywhere else.
So there you go. We got a Discord now.
See, for instance, in the Midnight Sedge one,
Oops.
I made a main chat, a House of Mouse, Star Trek, Star Wars, memes, breaking news, money talk, trailers, music, and the store, which is just basically a link to the.
You just gave yourself a
t-shirt
job
store.
because I don't know how to do any of that shit.
It's super easy.
Well, that's good for you.
You hit the little plus sign and you type in the name of a room, then you hit save.
That's good for you because I don't know how to work it. So anyhow, thank you everybody for joining us today. We had a great crowd here for this. I'm very impressed. That's why I can't believe the movie is not a hit in some way, shape, or form. Because we had this many people show up to listen to us gab about it for 2 hours. So thank you so much, kids. We appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to say, Andre, before we go?
No, I just want to say, everyone, thanks for joining us. Be sure to join us again tomorrow.
Yes.
As we do the ordinary Midnight Sedge in the morning. And then I think that over the course of the week, we'll also be having an exclusive members-only stream. We just haven't decided the exact day yet, but we're doing one this week.
Yeah. And with that, I also want to thank Jesse for hopping in and joining us today. And
One more thing. I'm pretty
Yes.
sure that anyone who joins the community Discord can also invite your friends to it.
There you go. Just don't invite any stupid people in there.
The
We don't-
dregs of society
I'm kidding,
who just
I'm kidding.
edgelord their way through the internet. Because then we'll have to add moderation bots, and no one likes those.
Oh yeah. But you can also see Jesse with me every Tuesday and Thursday on Mead, and whenever we do other random things, we might even do some karaoke here later. We'll see.
Yeah,
Guys,
tonight I'm also going
Harold
to
just
do the table read thing. We're going to be.
Are you doing that tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we'll do that.
But basically going to do there was the movie The Curse of Michael Myers, but there was a previous script called what's the actual name of this? Halloween 666 The Origin, and this is by Phil Rosenberg.
Yep. We actually talk about that in our documentary.
Yeah. So get to actually hear what's in it.
I didn't know you were doing that already tonight. So with
I ain't gonna lie, it's the first time we've done this, and it's gonna be a cluster F.
Well, that's funny because I was actually thinking about maybe doing it on me, but maybe we'll try it out on your channel first. Then in that case,
well, you know what? When new characters pop up, you just gotta be like, okay, Johnny, read that.
Well, I was going to talk to you, but we'll talk about it after the show here. All right, kids, take care, everybody. Thank you for being here, and we'll catch you on the flip side.